Shoot the whole camera. This is still
Hello.
on frame.
Thank you for joining us for this, the 146th episode of Drunk Doctor Who.
Wherein we discuss the
146th story of Doctor Who, Terror of the Vervoids.
Vervoids.
Alright, number of episodes, 4. They aired from November 1st, 1986 to November 22nd, 1986. And you notice they finally got it off the Monday-Tuesday thing, and it's back to at least weekly this season.
Oh, yeah. And we have a brand new companion.
Mel! Short for Melanie, but she goes by Mel.
Which means Harry died. She's dead. She's gone.
Barry's not dead.
Apparently.
No, she technically lives.
I'm keeping my own headcanon.
You can do that,
So-
but it's not actual canon. Alright,
She did. She
Okay.
gone.
alright, so this is continuing the Trial of a Timelord season. Much the same way that the Key of Time season had the 6 stories within it. This has 4. The only difference is in this one, they keep saying part 9, part 10, part 11, part 12.
Yeah.
These are the Vervoids. They're kind of a Triffids-like monster. Think of a practical version of the creatures in Stranger Things, which came about like 40 years
Gorgon?
later. Yeah. In that one, the plant thing like comes apart and goes but this is more of a practical version.
If you grew up on Power Rangers, he looks like the Vervoids. They look like Lord Zed from the Power Rangers.
I don't know Lord Zed, but
He has like this exposed brain.
weird. Okay.
You ever watch the Power Rangers?
No.
Rita Repulsa.
After my time.
Ivan Ooze. Oh, it was the best.
After
90s
my
Power
time.
Rangers were the best. They came out with the 2 live action movies. Fantastic.
Still after my time. All right.
Peak of cinema.
Okay. So anyway, wait. I'm Adam. This is Holden.
That's me.
Yep. Today is the 18th. Yesterday was St. Patrick's Day.
Yay!
Of March. Hey. That's why you're drinking
Happy
the
Patty's
green.
Oh, I tried this new. So I became a coffee drinker. I don't know if I told you this, but I've converted.
Mm-hmm.
Used to never drink coffee. Now I do every day, every morning.
Okay.
But iced though. You know, I'm not a monster. I can't drink hot coffee.
Okay. So you drink cold coffee.
Yeah, iced coffee. Anyway, they had this new one that was Irish cream, Irish creamy, because of St. Patrick's Day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Don't try it. It's terrible. I don't think you're supposed to put Irish cream in coffee.
A lot of people do.
It's an Irish coffee.
Right. Like I said, a lot of people do.
Involves alcohol, which makes it better. Mine didn't have alcohol in it, so I didn't
That's why.
appreciate
That's the problem.
the Irish cream.
All right, so what are you drinking today? This is Holden. I'm Hatter.
You said that.
Yeah. All right.
White Claws, natural lime. What are you drinking, Hatter?
Tito's vodka.
Tito's. Back on the Tito's.
Yeah. Well, I went by
Russian Standard for a while.
No.
We've been off that since Ukraine.
Russian
right?
Standard's still my favorite. No, I went by because I have to go to Brewski's to get the Russian Standard.
Right.
But on my way to work
The only
yesterday,
ones that carry it.
I stopped by Ravi's because I hadn't seen them in forever.
Yeah.
So when I said hi, and I was gonna get like a couple of things of rum, but
They're having a sale, right?
they had one deal of rum,
Ah.
and so I was like, well, that's what I like. Because they got that sale on Friday and Saturdays that makes it reasonable.
Yeah.
It's
like buy one get one half off.
Yeah, which actually makes it reasonable because otherwise, unfortunately, it's a small business. So they have to charge more. They don't get the discounts the big chains do.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, what else? So I looked around, and finally went, okay, I'll take some vodka.
Yeah.
So that worked out all right.
So you got your Captain Morgan's
Yeah, I've got that in the freezer.
spice room.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, and I've got I've still got a little bit left of the Magma Flame I was drinking last time.
There you go.
Yeah.
All sorts of spice.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you ever go for like more of a sweeter drink, or you're more of a savory kind of guy, right?
Every once in a while, Melissa and I are breaking keto and having a nice date night or something,
Yeah, like
I'll get some
Valentine's.
wine or.
Sweet wine or bitter wine? You like
I like something that tastes
dry-
like grapefruit.
the dry wine, red wine, dry.
Paisano. It's good.
Yeah.
But to be
That's
fair,
not sweet.
it is hard to go wrong with a Cabernet Sauvignon.
Sapphire.
Right. It's hard to go wrong with
You know, I've always been more of a peanut newer kind of guy. That's a line from The Ranch. You ever watch that show?
Oh, I watched maybe a
Ashton
season
Kutcher.
of it. Yeah. It was ridiculous.
Peanut newer.
Alright. So anyway, this does continue the Trial of the Time Lord season, and it's like I said, 4 episodes.
Still on trial.
Yeah, still on trial, and that's annoying. But this particular serial is better than I remembered.
I like this one. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm coming around to kind of the season gimmick and the pacing. I'm actually enjoying the trial. It's not so disruptive, I feel like, cutting back and forth, because I'm more invested into the longevity of the season story, the trial.
Much like the Key of Time
Yeah.
season, yeah.
I feel like this one was just kind of better written. They had better hooks, better cliffhangers, and the trial was overall more engaging.
No, I agree. This season is very commonly maligned, partly because of
Started off real rough.
Yeah, the first serial is
It's
real
not
rough. The second serial is better because Brian Blessed elevates anything he's in. He's just fantastic.
Yeah.
This one is the best written thus far, but it ends a little rough.
I don't even think Brian Blessed
The
could save
fourth-
the
Huh?
last serial.
The second serial was great
Because
because
they gave him such a painfully goofy
I
role.
love him. He's like that in everything. He was so fantastic. And then if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've seen it. The fourth serial is a little rough and a little weird. And it's only 2 episodes. So
This upcoming season finale. What's it called?
yeah.
Oh yeah, what's next time? I didn't write that down.
Oh.
Usually my question. The finale, the season finale. In the end of Colin Baker coming up next week, so make sure you tune in next Monday. It's going to be probably, well, it might be a shorter podcast because the only 2 episodes.
The ultimate foe.
But we might be doing some cleanup. Now, the ultimate foe,
No, we're probably going to do the clip next week.
I'm guessing, is the person that's been messing with the Matrix, who I'm also guessing is the Master. Oh, the Valyard's the bad guy? See, you know, I thought that was the misdirection because they made it so obvious. Because not only is he a prosecutor, but like he's taking so much enjoyment out of it. Every time he's like grinning and smirking at the doctor. It's like, that's not what obviously they're trying to make you think he's the bad guy.
Right.
But I didn't think it'd be so obvious.
I've got a big grin on my face because I know what you don't know.
Oh, okay.
And you'll find out
The
next
Valyard
week.
is the Master. That's my prediction.
Anyway, next week we'll finish up the season.
It's not right, is it?
And if you've seen already this story, you know I'm smiling. Anyway, okay.
Well, I'm confused.
Wait till next week. Next week will be the short podcast because it's only the 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And then we're done with Colin Baker, and we will get into cleanup, which will be. We have the first third-party bit to watch.
So we're not going to the next Dr. McGann. He's the next one after Colin
No.
Baker?
Sylvester McCoy.
Oh, that guy.
He's
so
7.
We're doing some stuff before we start 7?
We've always done this. We do cleanup. We watch any series that have been animated or possibly found.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like third-party stuff.
Well, we are. We're going to have our first third-party bit the week
because
after next.
The chronological order.
Correct. Well,
So they started releasing third-party stuff chronologically before they were even done with the show?
yes. They started third-party stuff during the 6th Doctor.
Because it was so bad, they're like, we could do this better.
Well, no, just people started wanting to add to the show. And so the third-party stuff started. Now, there's only one thing in between these it wasn't in between, it was during Sylvester McCoy's era, Colin Baker's era. But we don't interrupt the Doctor Who to do the watching and go ahead and put it in between and then do Sylvester McCoy.
I think you lost me.
Anyway, There's third-party stuff still being released currently, even though the show's still on the air. But we don't interrupt a season to watch it. We just wait and watch it between seasons, you know?
Oh.
Which is what we're doing here. So we'll have the very first third-party deal, which involves Sergeant Benton. Then we will have...
So we come in, we watch the serial, and then we watch the...
No, that'll be the week after. So next week, we've got the two-parter. Yes. And we will finish up the season.
Right.
And we'll have some voting to do.
Right.
Okay. Both for this season and for the Sixth Doctor.
We're voting for our least favorite of Colin Baker.
Nah.
Because there's not a favorite.
The two Doctors.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
What's that?
And then we'll watch the cleanup. We'll have 1 or 2 newly animated stories to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the Underwater Menace? This is...
Underwater Menace.
No, hold on. Yeah, the Underwater Menace.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have that one. And then we will have the Celestial Toymaker.
Ooh, that'll be a good one.
Yeah, and then we may have to watch this in between the 2 animateds because, to buy for time. But the Daleks colorized edited version is coming out tomorrow, and I'll be picking that up probably Sunday.
Oh, I thought this was something that's you're talking about. They edited it into a cinematic format, 2-hour movie.
Took
it down.
Basically, yeah, they cut it down. It's for modern audiences to get into the old stuff.
So they just now did this.
Yes.
This was something they did a while ago.
No. They just now did it.
That makes it even stranger. That is strange.
Yeah, why do that? Well, the question is why do that when you can just watch the movie?
Yeah.
The Daleks or the Daleks Invasion of Earth, but they're doing this as a way to try and get new fans to accept the old show to get into it.
Oh,
so
it's gonna work.
There's an edited down faster pacing, and they've been colorized. So in a few weeks, we will see our first example of this.
I mean, it is good. It's good cereal.
Yeah, they already basically had a version of it with the movie. Yeah. So I don't know how many of these stories they're going to do this to.
They're kind of re-releasing and then re-releasing the same.
Well,
it's like Skyrim. You have the Game of the Year edition, and the Anniversary edition, and the all DLC edition. They re-release it 10, 20 times.
But I just, I don't know how many of these I'm going to be willing to purchase.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many...
Milk it.
I mean, the other ones I can see from the black and white era that they would cut down and colorize. Well, the Dog's Master Plan would be obvious, except 9 of the episodes don't exist. The War Games would be fantastic.
That would be a good one.
Cut that down from 10, into a nice cut 2-hour movie with a... Just that'd be really good.
It would.
And there's a few other serials they could do that to, the longer ones. And the question is, are they going to do it to any of the ones with animation? Because the Dalek stories, there's like...
how would that work?
I mean, you do it with the animation, but...
jarring. The whole thing would be animated?
I guess so.
Just,
but you have to have it in the same format for the sensibilities of the modern viewer.
Yeah, because they're not really... If it's all animated, they're not bringing the new generation of Whovians into the old stuff.
It could be. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know how many of these they're going to do. I'm picking up this one, and if it's decent, the next one at least. But anyway.
I think they're just cashing in. I don't think
So we'll have about a month, maybe a month and a half between this Doctor and the next Doctor.
Okay.
All right. So just for cleanup, we do this all the time. You know that. If you've been watching for any length of time. All right. Anyway, the pacing on this story is pretty good until the 4th episode. I think the 4th episode should have been split into 2 episodes.
It does pick up there at the end.
Yeah, you get the feeling that several scenes have been skipped. But we'll get to that here when we get to the 4th episode. But yeah, it should have been 5. It really should have been 5.
It was like a suspenseful setup, And then that last episode was just everything going boom, 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 boom.
Yeah,
I kind of,
it's too fast. And there's a bunch of scenes cut out.
Yeah, fast paced.
The part where they're sieging the lounge.
Yeah.
They're just sieging the lounge. There's no setup at all, and then there's no return to that at all. The part where they go into the hold and get the vivarium or whatever it is that explodes. They don't show that. They don't show how they get there. I mean, the last part, the editing is really severe in order to get the story finished.
Yeah. When
it should have been a second episode. And there was even a good spot in there for a good cut between the episodes.
I disagree. I kind of like that they picked up pace at the end there. It's kind of like watching the time bomb tick down, and then the last episode you're like, oh no, and then all the boom boom.
Well, it's kind of like
I liked it. It was more hectic, but it felt like
chaotic.
Yeah, but it was enjoyable chaos.
There was still a lot of stuff that you could just see chunks missing.
The forest was on fire.
but there
so you didn't have time to see all the
but there were giant chunks. If you ever watched a movie and you went, there was a scene there, they cut it out. You could tell they cut it out.
TV, yeah.
Well, not for TV, but have you ever watched a movie in the theater and it goes from point A to point B or to point D, and you're like, well, where's B and C? Was this edited out for time or for whatever reason? And you find out later, yeah, those were deleted scenes, but you could feel the scenes were not there. You could see it,
The lack of explanation.
Yeah, on certain things. I've seen so much stuff that I can see that in movies and TV shows, and in the back of the season, there are like 80 scenes that were deleted out of the season.
Goodness. That
we could watch as part of the box set.
Release? Oh, they did release.
Yeah, they're right there. The last 2 discs of that box set. Wow. We can watch all the deleted scenes, and I bet you there's a good chunk of them out of that 4th episode. It should have been, 5.
I bet. It's interesting.
Yeah. It literally says, Trial of a Time Lord, 71 edits, episodes 1 through 8, and Trial of a Time Lord, 71 edits, episodes 9 to 14.
So what we watched is edited differently than the original?
Well, no, these are the edits out of the season.
Oh, the extra 2
These are the deleted scenes, yeah.
I gotcha.
And I haven't watched these yet. But I bet you a good chunk of them... No, I haven't watched these yet.
Aren't you curious?
I am. But I bet you a good chunk of them was from that 4th episode,
Maybe so.
Alright. So anyway, we start out back at the trial.
Yes.
Episode 1. The doctor's still mourning Perry. He believes she's dead. She's not actually. We find out later on.
She's dead.
No. We find out later on in a trailer from one of these older seasons. She went off and married Brian Blessed. But he's mourning her because he believes she's dead. And then the doctor is now presenting his defense. Mm-hmm. We've forgotten from the prosecuting side of the trial to the defense side.
Mm-hmm. And Balliard has rested his case. He's made his prosecution.
Yeah.
Well, so kind of. He updates it at the end here.
Yeah. So anyway, the doctor says he's presenting his defense, and it's something from the future. So he's presenting an adventure of him with his companion, Mel, a companion who he has actually yet to meet.
Right. Which would never happen if he gets executed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
a bit of a paradox.
An alternate timeline?
Well,
he's proven innocent?
Well, so you could either believe that this is that the timeline has yet to decide, or you could believe, well, he's obviously not going to be executed because he has to meet Mel.
I mean, yeah, but then what's the point of the trial if they know he's going to be let off?
Well,
but the Matrix
they never address this. The
Matrix never lies, so it can't be.
Well, that's what the Valliard keeps saying, but
right. But also sagacity. Inquisitor.
Yeah, she says the Matrix doesn't lie. But
obviously it does.
The doctor's showing this, and several times he's like, "That didn't happen. I didn't do that. That didn't happen." And they're like, "This is in your future. How can you know you didn't do that?" He says, "No, when I watched it earlier, it was different.
Yeah.
It's been tampered with. I'm being manipulated." And that's basically what keeps all the cutscenes are basically that. Going back to the trial.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. So there's basically the space station, or the spaceship.
Hyperion Flight.
Hyperion 3. And this whole story is very much Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah.
In fact, the doctor is actually reading Murder on the Orient Express at one point in the show.
Bit on the nose.
Yeah. And the year's like 2983 or something. And the doctor's like, "Look, this is from my future. I turn out to be a good guy. I'm always called to come in by people." So he's presenting his defense.
He's making the good place argument to where maybe he's done some bad stuff that's deserving of punishment. But if they let him go, he will improve. He has the nature.
I love The Good Place. Love that show. You've seen all 4 seasons?
Yeah.
Yeah, love it.
See, they do the argument a lot better in The Good Place than the doctor does.
Well, yes. Partly because he was kind of trying to do that argument, but partly because The Good Place is just drenched in philosophical stuff, unlike this. Anyway, so the Doctor and Mel are on the TARDIS. Mel is a fitness freak.
Jazzercise.
Yeah, she's
surprised she's not wearing the leg warmers.
Close, yeah. She's about 5 foot tall. She's really short. Little head.
Very waifish.
Big hair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
her hairspray, puffy hair just makes her small face look so much tinier.
She's reasonably fit, being a fitness nut, and I think she got hired for her scream. Because she screams so shriekily and loudly. Just that note is insane. So she has got the doctor on a fitness bike, and he's doing the thing with a fitness bike, and
they're kind of pointing out how Colin Baker put on a few extra pounds.
And I can agree with that, yeah, because he did, yeah.
So I'm assuming the fans were saying something, so they're like, let's put a little in-joke in here.
Well, I think the writers, after seeing Colin Baker come back and be a little heftier, kind of may have rewritten that a bit, to put on that. Anyway, so Mel's a fitness nut. And the doctor's on the fitness bike, and she brings him carrot juice.
There's a lot of fitness. They have so many scenes are in the gymnasium set.
Yeah.
Hyperion.
Yeah.
It's like every other scene they're exercising. Really popular.
And this continues.
The exercise?
Yeah. Did we tell you how he dies?
The doctor, Colin Baker?
Yeah.
Does he die exercising?
Yes. He's on that fitness bike and the TARDIS lurches. And the bike falls over and he hits his head on the console of the TARDIS and regenerates.
So Mel kills the doctor.
Well, inadvertently and indirectly.
Exercise.
But yeah. So anyone who says exercise is good for you, I mean, it's got dangers too. But anyway, but yeah, he dies on the exercise bike.
That's crazy.
All right.
What a unceremonious dismissal of Colin's doctor.
And he doesn't, like I said, Colin Baker does not come back for the regeneration. The regeneration is done with...
they use someone else's face as...
No, they use Sylvester McCoy in a wig.
Oh, no.
Yes! Because they show him from the back in the other outfit, and then in the beginning of Sylvester McCoy's era, and then boom, the bike goes over and he dies, and it just kind of, but it's Sylvester McCoy in a wig.
So Colin Baker didn't even film his death scene?
No, he didn't come back because he was so unceremoniously let go.
Because the ratings, they just kind of cut his contract?
Yeah, he found out on the news or something like that.
What? Poor Colin.
It's true. But the experiment with him with the angry, violent doctor last season.
Yeah.
And then he turned into
It's more the writer's fault than his.
It is. They wanted to do something different. And then they turned him into basically a buffoon.
Yeah.
For this season. Not as much last story, but Mel onwards, he's just a henpecked buffoon. Like the scene where you can't get a word in edgewise between Mel and the doctor, the lady doctor talking. Yeah. What was her name? Lasky, yeah. Anyway, so the Dr. Mel and the TARDIS, they get a distress call, a mayday, and they answer it. And they end up on the Hyperion 3. The Hyperion 3 is going from the planet of Myrnoid? Mogar.
Megarians.
Back to Earth. Megarians cannot breathe oxygen. It's fatal to them. So they wear these complete overarching suits, and they have translators, which is funny because it's one of the few times you ever see a translator in the old show. Everyone else just speaks English, supposedly, or the TARDIS translates it, but the TARDIS doesn't translate their stuff.
Well, it would for the Doctor and Mel, but not for the rest of the passengers, because they're not passengers of the TARDIS.
No, it's one of those rare examples that shows that the excuse they have now and the justification they have now didn't really work.
Well, I mean, it does work, though, because think of the chameleon circuit. It transforms the TARDIS just to have the TARDIS fit into its environment. That benefits only the passengers of the TARDIS, because they need their right to blend in. I feel like the chameleon circuit is really only there for
the universe
passengers.
basically speaks English. But, I mean, there are exceptions in the modern show, too.
It's like C-3PO. He doesn't speak every language. Just a lot of them.
But no, it's like in the modern show, there's the space cop rhinos.
Space cop rhinos.
Yes.
And they don't speak English?
No.
And they're not translated?
Correct. Romo Kofo Po Toto. Rapakakakofo. And they speak like that, and it doesn't translate. The TARDIS doesn't translate it. Just like here, the TARDIS doesn't translate it, even though it's supposed to translate basically everything.
So they're like mall cops? The little pulp lord segues?
No, they're a bit more the Shadow Proclamation. They work with the Shadow Proclamation.
A bit more dark, not as humorous.
Oh, they're funny, but they are very.
They're like the bureaucratic people from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The big
not quite that bad, but they're more. They're so literal with the law. They just don't understand any nuances. Yeah. But they're awesome, and for the life of me, at this exact moment, I can't remember the name of that species.
Rhinoplastarius.
Nah, it'll come to me later. All right. Anyway, so the Doctor and Mel answer the Mayday. They wind up on the Hyperion 3.
They materialize right next to the hydroponic section
in the hold.
Ship. Yeah, they're under. Quite immediately, they're captured though.
Yes.
Like the second they come out of the TARDIS.
Pretty close. They're captured. They're brought to the Commandant.
Cabinet?
No. What was it? No, Commodore.
Commodore. Yeah.
They brought to the.
We
Commodore.
never get the Commodore's name, do we?
Yeah.
Just
Commodore Travers.
Oh, Travers.
Yes.
I missed that.
Okay, but it's Commodore Travers. Anyway, Commodore Travers, the Doctor knew when he was a captain of a ship. They'd met before. We have jumped in time here, and the Doctor's had many adventures we don't know of because the Commodore recognizes him in his current form.
Yes.
So, and we never get a proper introduction to Mel. Like the same way we didn't get a proper send off for Perry. Mel just is there. We never see her come on board. We never see how she joined the TARDIS. She's just there.
So in the show, the reason for that is they're kind of jumping around in the timeline. They're like, look at the past.
Yes.
Now look at the future. But it was Perry like Colin Baker, where they just kind of ended her contract all of a sudden?
I don't know.
What happened to her?
I don't know.
She's just gone.
Yeah. And then there's Mel. And
makes you wonder what happened.
Yeah, now this is the only time they do something quite like this. Most of the time, you get the introduction and you get the
heartfelt goodbye.
Yeah.
That's the whole...
Or the, go away, Dodo, I hate you. Yeah, but this is one of those rare circumstances, and I think it's poor writing, and it's one of the things I didn't care about the serial, that and like I said, the pacing in episode 4. But overall, it's a really good serial, it's a pretty good serial.
I feel like working in the BBC 1984 is just chaos.
86.
86. Yeah, chaos. Just feels so unorganized. Like, people getting contracts ended early, replaced.
Well, just for Doctor Who, because
Who?
there was this guy who really hated the show, and he thought it was an embarrassment to the BBC, and he wanted it to end. So he slowly choked the life out of it until it ended.
And that translates. Yeah, I can
yeah. And it wouldn't be brought back until the 1996 TV movie, and then after that wasn't picked up, was brought back in 2004, 2005.
Oh.
So
this guy.
Yep, Eccleston.
But no one really liked him.
Beard loves him. And he's good. If Eccleston wasn't as good as he was, the show would not have continued.
Tennant.
But Tennant is the most popular Doctor of this century. Matt Smith being a close second.
I'd say even overall, right?
Tom Baker's the big one overall for the younger generation. Probably Tennant, because they don't watch and maybe not have watched the classic stuff. But for the people who grew up with the classic stuff, it's Tom Baker. Just hands down.
Even over Tennant?
Yes. Like I said, to me it's Tom Baker, Troughton, Tennant. That order.
Troughton's great.
Troughton's fantastic. And is he still your favorite?
I think he's
of the ones you've seen so far? Yeah. So, like I said, just fantastic. Like Enemy of the World. When we only had the audio, was dismissed.
Yeah.
And then they found the video, and it's like, this is a really good serial. With him playing the Doctor and Salamander and all the nuances. It was just fantastic.
The weird, like, semi-Spanish accent he has. Love Troughton.
Yeah. Alright, so...
I'm the Salamander.
Alright. So, anyway, the Doctor and Perry are on the ship. And the cat...
Mel.
Pardon, Mel. They're on the ship, and the Commodore's like, "Oh yeah, I know you, Doctor. You bring death and destruction with you. Great."
Mel jumps to defend him. She goes, "How could you say that about the Doctor?" And the Doctor himself is like, "He has a point.
Yeah,
you might die."
He's got a point.
Yeah, argument, which looks real bad when he's on trial for that.
But we never see the reason that the Commodore knows that the Doctor is problematic. We never see that episode.
We don't see how he met the Commodore.
And when we get past this season, it's not like the Doctor goes back to being alone. And then you see where he picks up Mel. Mel's just still there. And it continues from these serials as if she's still there, continuing past that. So they kind of ignore the trial of the Time Lord bit.
Yeah. I think maybe the pacing I like in the serial more is because of the Commandant's character. Because I like how he's kind of like the brigadier, and where he gives the Doctor some more options of mobility and operating in it, because he knows him. He's obviously tired of his antics. He's like, "Oh boy, it's the Doctor again."
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's like, "Well, I know he's really smart, and he'll probably help us out, catch whoever." So
give him enough rope, and he'll figure out who it is, and he'll find our murderer for us.
Yeah, so it kind of lets the doctor get up to some antics, like pulling fire alarms and stuff. But it's fun. I like the pacing of that more.
Yeah.
Kind of reminded me of, back in
Pertwee's era.
Pertwee.
Yeah. All right, so you've got the Commandant, and you have a security officer. What was his name?
Rudge.
Yeah, Rudge.
Weird name.
Yeah. And then you've got the communications officer. What's his name?
Edwards.
Yeah, Edwards. And you have a nice young stewardess. I'm not sure if we ever got her name.
Kimber, I think.
Yeah. And then on the other side, the passenger side, you have 5 notable characters. 3 of them are associates, which is Lansky, Durden or something, or what was his name?
Bruchner?
Bruchner. And who was the third one?
Dolan? Or Travers? No, Travers is the commander. Dolan.
Yeah, Dolan. Okay. So you have those 3, and they're all, herbologists.
Scientists.
Scientists. You've got one old guy. I didn't catch his name.
Me either. But he recognizes Hallett.
Yeah,
who's going by Greenville.
Okay, so yeah, the other one is Hallett, who's going by Greenville, and then you've got 2 Morgarians, or what are they called?
Yeah. Morganians,
whatever. So they're the guys in the suits.
Morganians.
Yeah. So essentially, these are the main passengers, but you also have a bunch of guards and other people who work on the ship. Who are unceremoniously slaughtered.
I did not think they were dead for like the first 3 episodes. I could have sworn it said snoring or something in the captions. So I just thought they were knocking them out and stacking them up, and I'm like, I wonder what they're knocking all these people. Are they gonna turn them into plants? And I thought that, and then you're like, they're dead. I'm like, they're not dead. You're like, no, they're dead. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so dark. They're just piling up corpses in the corner.
Yep.
The whole time I was just like, oh, they're not dead.
And this is in a season where they've ramped back the death and ramped back all that stuff.
Yeah, and I thought like they were going out of their way to be very, family friendly. I was like, oh, they're just knocking them out. That's why he specifically says, oh, he'll live, he'll be fine.
Well, there were 1 or 2 times when the guy hits the back of the guard's neck, and that guard lives. Well, until the plants pick him up and kill him. So what's the death count on this one?
So adjusting for the people that weren't sleeping, I have a lot.
Well, there should be close to 20.
12 is what I wrote down.
You got the 6 that are piled up.
Yeah.
Okay.
5 in the...
You got Holland 6. Or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Holland. He's dead.
You got at least 3 or 4 guards, if not more.
Well, 2 of those guards were in the pile, so we see him die, and then we see him in the pile.
Yeah, the experimental lady.
Did she die?
Yeah, they killed her.
Ruth Baxter?
Yes.
They killed her?
Yeah, once again, the 4th episode should have been 2 because there's things that go by so fast. They killed her. Every single one of... Yeah, every single one of the team of the 3 were killed.
Yeah.
The two, what are they called again? Mermoids?
The Morgans.
Morgans were killed. Yeah.
That's 6. Plus 4 guards.
Okay, the chief security guy.
That's about 12 people. Yeah.
I think it goes 20, but I can live with that if you've got your official death count at 12. They just started slaughtering people. They just that 4th episode, they just went through people like crazy. So very dark episode, a very dark serial. So the doctor shows up, and the commander's like, "Ah, great, He tells the head of security, "Hey, just let him give him enough rope to hang himself with." The doctor goes around and meets people. Mel's like, "Hey, well, there was a murder because they believe the guy in cabin 6, who claims he was Greenville or whatever his name was."
Yeah. Greenville.
Yeah, was murdered and thrown into the incarceration chute or the incineration chute, pulverization chute.
I thought the first murder was the guard who was taking...
They believe that he was murdered. Turns out he wasn't, but they believe he was murdered because he was recognized by the old man.
He wasn't murdered?
Well, not then. He was murdered later.
Because the electricity thing didn't kill him. Okay, I see what
No. That's Edwards.
Yeah, wasn't he the first guy that died?
Okay. Greenville shows up, and the old guy recognizes him.
Yeah.
So Greenville leaves. So he was undercover.
He's like, my cover's blown.
Right, so he got recognized.
Puts on the outfit.
So he goes down and he sneaks into an outfit. He goes one of the Morgarians or whatever, and becomes one of them. And he fakes his own death by putting one of his shoes near the pulverizer chute, leaving the other shoe in his cabin, and telling Mel to go to that cabin. But he doesn't. After he stole the Demeter seeds.
He doesn't actually die.
He dies later.
He is. So who was it that... Okay.
He dies later. He doesn't die in the first episode. He dies in like the third episode.
So his cover's blown because he's recognized. So he fakes his death. And then he disguises himself as a scientist and then a Margonian. And then I think the Margonians are like, there's a third one?
Well, yeah, that's when they were holding up the ship.
Yeah.
So he actually does his homework and checks in. So, yeah, the Margonians are a really weird race because they are very impatient, but they feel that they have been exploited. Their planet's been exploited. So this goes back to colonization and imperialism. It's a little bit of a treatise on that.
They're taking all their resources. They're trying to take their plants, seeds, make a slave race.
So
I think they're the bad guys in this one.
Well, they end up being a couple of bad guys, yeah.
I think the Vervoids are the good guys.
No, Vervoids are not good.
Well, they're fighting against being enslaved. It's not their fault.
That's actually true. But they were genocidal towards all animal kind. So that's not good for them either. They were killing people before they found out that the one guy wanted to enslave them.
Predators.
They
thought they were going to be eaten.
They were genociding the people before they found out one guy wanted to enslave them.
Kill or be killed. It's justifiable.
No. Alright. So anyway, the doctor's looking around and Mel's looking around and she's fairly inquisitive, as is the doctor. And they're trying to figure out who the murderer is.
Mel's great. She right away fits in. She's spunky, has an attitude, is clever. She thinks on her feet. She's quick-witted. She makes a good companion. It's just very jarring because you're like, who's this? Where'd they come from? And
why are they bossing the doctor around with fitness? Alright. So anyway, Mel and the doctor go to the cabin 6 and they're there and he finds the Demeter seeds, pockets them.
Yeah, so the Demeter seeds are what the Vervoids grow out of?
No. I think they're simply a bit of a plot device where What's-Her-Face Lasky thought that he stole them. When they were stolen by Greenville.
Yeah.
And planted there so the doctor would find them because he was he maydaid the doctor to try and throw shade off of him.
Right, he's just trying to throw him off the stage.
Yeah, and trying to create some chaos so he could work.
Oh, okay. I get the seats now.
And that's explained later.
I still don't understand why he ate one.
He was annoyed because he couldn't get a word in edgewise between the two ladies. Like I said, this is when he becomes basically a buffoon. But he's not around long enough to really just be a buffoon. Yeah. This is this serial and next. Alright, so anyway, the Doctor and Mel are in the gymnasium. Mel's like, hey, I want to go check out the hydroponic center because of the seeds. And the Doctor's like, okay, go do that. And leave me here with my peregrinations.
So, like, I could not wrap my head around the Doctor's vocabulary because it's so at first it was kind of charming because it feels like, you know, the Doctor's this incredibly intellectual person and then he shows up on Earth and he's trying to adopt their culture, and obviously he's super smart, so he just learns all of English, like he has all of that vocabulary because of his superior intellect. So it's just him communicating and he's able to use the language more effectively because of his intellect. And it's kind of charming because it kind of feels like he's a fish out of water. He's so much more smart than all these people he likes hanging out with. But then, like, a couple of scenes later, it's like, oh, he's just coming out across as pompous. And it's like, well, I couldn't really...
But those are the parts that the Doctor were claiming the Matrix had been manipulated. So the Doctor didn't actually say the peregrinations. It was whoever manipulated the Matrix said that. Are you losing my Sharpies?
No, I dropped the tab.
Well, who cares? Alright, I've got my expo. Okay, so anyway, the Doctor's like, that didn't happen, and the Value's like, well, are you claiming the Matrix is lying again?
I might have lost a few pins in the arm.
Stop that.
There might be a couple in here.
When I get filthy rich someday, I'm going to buy new couches. These I got secondhand off of Craigslist or whatever.
They're so nice. Like,
I do love these, but I'll get new versions of these.
Leather.
Yeah, I'll get new versions of these.
Really, all we need is like a... Because some guy was just... Yeah, there's an angsty teen that sat right here with a new pocket knife.
That's you.
But if we get... Yeah. This was me as a kid with a knife. Like,
I think it was probably a pet, but...
Pent up.
Yeah. So...
But we could get the little arm covers. The little... What do they call those? The duvet. The little... They're just little pull sleeves for the arms of your couch. No? Is that... I guess those are outdated now. It's more of an 80s thing. 70s?
I just don't want them. Anyway, so the Doctor's like...
Or if they're leather, though. They'd fit right in.
Well, just replace the leather.
Too expensive.
So the Doctor says, I'll stay here. Mel goes down, and she goes down the hold. But they were supposedly restricted to the passenger quarters.
Yeah.
And she goes down the hold, and she meets the really, really nice communications officer. Edwards.
He is nice.
And he was kind of not hitting on the nice stewardess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Earlier, when he saw...
I mean, you can't blame them.
Right. She was really cute. And she walked with a nice sass way, you know.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, I did.
I was too busy staring at her butt.
Well, yeah, that's exactly. Anyway, he's apparently a sucker for pretty girls because he's a young man. And he's like, okay, you're not supposed to be here. This is a restricted area. And Mel's like, well, I'm just looking around. I was kind of hoping to see the hydroponic center. He goes, well, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a guided tour, but don't touch anything. It's a guided tour. She's like, okay. So he goes in and he puts his hand on the deal, and he gets this electric fence, or this fence open, and then he goes to push on another one of these gates.
Yeah. And
it electrocutes him, and he dies, and she's screaming her lungs out. And
he is dead.
He's dead, and you see the pods in the hydroponic center, like break open like vegetational Daleks with the little things, and
like the Cybermen pods.
Yeah, and end of the episode, because you need only ultra. You need not bright light in there, and him being electrocuted by this booby trap set off the light and activated the pods.
Plant organisms, so the infrared, because of their photosynthesis, they're dormant, so they can't feed them any, UV lights or awaken them.
Yeah.
So it's just the infrared lights, but when the electricity bolts go off, it
activates it.
Yeah. But that wasn't a booby trap? That was just an accident?
No, it wasn't a booby trap. They didn't want anybody to go in there.
Huh? So that just happened by accident?
Well, it was a booby trap set by Lansky and the other two.
Oh, but the guard didn't know about it?
Correct.
But why would they set a booby trap that would wake up the plants if they want?
Short-sightedness.
When does it talk about that they set that?
It doesn't.
So it kind of infers the.
It implies, and we infer, yes.
So it could have been an accident, unrelated.
Well, they discuss later that it was booby trapped.
Oh, okay.
Not the bad guys, but the good guys. Alright, so...
See, that's why it's so confusing, because at this point, it's the first episode, you're like, who's this Greenville Howlett guy?
And he's gone.
Who's the murderer? And
then Edwards dies.
You think it's going to make more sense, but I feel like they never really explain some of the stuff.
Once again, 5 episodes. Would have been better. Alright, so... Yeah, so... end of episode 1, beginning of episode 2. Mel runs away screaming because she realizes Edwards is dead. She runs directly into 2 guards. And they're like, okay, miss, we gotta take you up. She says, he's dead. And the one guard goes and checks, and he's dead. The other guard says, I'm gonna take Mel up to the Commodore. And you stay here with the body. But they've activated the Vervoids, who've come out of pods.
Yeah.
And the Vervoid shows up, kills the guard.
Looks like
bodies are gone.
I have news. I mean, Lord's dead.
Well,
they're supposed to look organically plant-like, but they're also like organisms. It looks like an exposed brain.
Right, and it looks, like I said, it looks like a practical version from the 80s of the things in Stranger Things. Right. But if you don't have CGI and you have a low budget, how do you do it practically? And these costumes were actually pretty good.
I really liked the costume design on this.
It was really good.
And it's like the leaves and the whole changing of the seasons and how that.
Yeah, that worked out really well.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, this serial is better than I remember it being. Okay, so.
I think the season as a whole kind of drags it down.
The whole trial, yeah.
Is the season finale good?
No.
Okay.
Not that I remember. No. Lower your expectations.
It's only 2 episodes.
Yeah, lower your expectations. It's weird. It is just weird. But I haven't seen it in years, so it'll be interesting. All right, so the Commodore calls. Okay.
Who's he called?
The Commodore calls the doctor, and they are. He's asking the doctor about Mel. How long have you known her? Can you vouch for her? And the doctor's like, "Yep, I can."
Yes, keep him occupied. I'll be right back. Make sure he doesn't try anything funny. They're watching you.
All right. So anyway, the doctor vouches for Mel. In the meantime, while they're in there on the bridge, the Commodore was like, "Well, my guy's dead. She was running from him," and the doctor's like, "Well, okay, they've disappeared. Their bodies have disappeared, but you've had Mel up here, so she couldn't have done this." And the Commodore's like, "Okay, you're right. She couldn't have killed the guard, but the bodies are missing and all that." So the Doctor and Mel go back to looking around, trying to figure out who killed these people on this Murder on the Orient Express thing. And in the lounge, you have the people, and they're like, who could have done it? They don't, I mean, there is a bit of a murder on board, but they don't realize that the Vervoids are there yet. So they're looking around, they're trying to figure out who did it. And, oh, poor Jasky, I think was his name. Jasky. No. Something like that, the old man. So the old man goes to his room, and is killed. And his body is dumped with the others. But the stewardess brings him some more milk, and he's supposed to be in the shower, and the Vervoid turns on the thing. And we still have yet to see the Vervoids straight on. We've only seen like hands and them behind grills and stuff like that. Because they're, of course, manipulating the ventilation system to move around the ship, because that's how these movies work, or these TV shows work. And eventually he disappears, and the poor Rudge, the security officer, and the stewardess are trying to find him. They can't find him. They eventually have to report the fact that he's missing to the Commodore. The Commodore's not happy, and the Commodore's like, look, we've got all these guys missing, like, gone. Several of them are dead, and you have nothing of this. This is a bad job you're doing. And this is the Commodore's last mission, last journey before he retires. So you know he's dead. That old trope. You know, I've only got 3 more days to retirement. Oh, you know the guy's dead. And so they're wandering around. They're looking for him. In the meantime, the Doctor and Mel are going around. And there is an isolation room on the ship. And the Doctor's trying to figure out what's going on with the isolation room. Why? There's a guard outside. Are they trying? Is the guard there to keep people out, or to keep whatever's in there in? And we've seen several broken plates come out of it by the trio, Lasky and Durden or whatever. And the Doctor's like, and they're like, okay, the stewardess will take care of this. So whatever's in the isolation room is angry. And Lansky comes out with a surgical mask on, and Mel's like, well, we should go in there. Or the Doctor's like, well, I want to know what's in there. And Mel's like, well, you got 2 problems. One is there's a guard. And second, you gotta have a mask. And so the Doctor takes an axe that's there, which is very, very odd considering the ship's made of steel. I mean, I know the axes are traditional to fight fires and to break things on the old ships that were made of wood. But I guess they still have them in the future on spaceships. But he takes the axe. The guard comes up and he tells the guard, hey, hurry to the lounge. There are people dying. Use this. And the guard runs away. And then there's a couple of gas masks there. So he grabs one for him. Gives the one to Mel. They go into the room, and they see a kind of isolated chamber, not made of metal or anything, but just a vinyl. And the Doctor unzips it, and then you see a young lady with all these weird plant features on her. It looks like she's unconscious. And just like exposed brain and the plant features and all this weird stuff. And man,
housekeeping.
Anyway,
that's when the Power Rangers showed up, right?
No.
Oh, we're not there yet. Okay, where are we?
So the young lady's eyes open and Mel screams, and that's the end of episode 2.
Episode 2, the weird plant lady. So she got infected somehow by the Vervoid pollen, which apparently just a bit of exposed pollen got in.
Scratch.
Yeah, they explain that later.
What was her name?
Ruth Baxter was the girl that was.
They explained it pretty quick in episode 3.
Yeah,
they really do.
But like, what?
Exactly.
Getting a bit of this plant's pollen in you will turn you into the plant.
Or halfway, or whatever.
Halfway, yeah. They're trying to reverse it. Apparently, they're a very, very infectious type of hosting. Like they. Well, that's never even touched on. Like they just say that happened, and then.
It's again 5 episodes. Okay, so end of episode 2. In the meantime, hold on a little bit back. Let me backtrack a little bit on episode 2. The one of the trio of scientists, what was his name? Starts getting a conscience.
Lasky, was that Brunchner?
Yeah, Brunchner's like,
we can't.
This is bad. This is bad. This is horrible. People are dying. People are disappearing.
At this point, we didn't even know that they're wanting to use the plants as slaves.
No, that's not yet.
That I assume has to.
Right. So you have the lady.
So you're like, why? Why is this so terrible?
So you have the lady Lansky, who was Pussy Galore in James Bond. Yeah. Melissa figured that out. She recognized her. Mm-hmm. You have the white-haired guy, shorter guy, who has no conscience whatsoever. He was a pretty good liar.
Yeah.
And then you have the third guy, Brunsky, who.
Brunchner.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have him, and he's
not for lunch, but for Brunchner.
And he actually has a conscience because the white-haired guy has no conscience.
Yeah. And
Lansky doesn't really have a conscience, but this guy has a conscience. He's like, our experiments are horrible. This is bad. They've all gotten out. They're killing people. This is our fault. This is our problem. And he starts burning their notes. And in the 30th century, they're still using dot matrix paper. I love that. Yeah, he's burning their notes, and he just kind of goes off the end.
And they also have Galaga.
Oh yeah, you have the two
the Morgonians.
Morgonians playing Galaga. That I found that scene hilarious. I was like, oh. Anyway, so
sci-fi. Kids were like, far out, man.
All right, episode 3. The scientists come in. Well, the two of them, Lansky and the white-haired guy. What's his name?
Not Brunchner.
Yeah, not Brunchner. Dauber or something weird like that.
Kimber?
Maybe.
Dolan.
Yeah. So they come in, and she uses, Lansky uses some sort of gas to make the young lady, half plant lady, go back to sleep. You know, does this smell like chloroform to you?
A lot of people get gassed. This is like 3 people. It's like Mel gets gassed out twice, or maybe once. One is Ruth Baxter.
Yeah,
another person gets.
Okay, so yeah, Mel gets gassed out while she's in episode 2.
Happening.
In episode 2, when she hears the Vervoids talking about killing all the animal kind.
Yeah.
And she gets put into a tote, and the doctor has to go save her.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna. So this tote is supposed to have the used towels from the gym. So apparently they're just incinerating all the used towels. They don't wash them; they just incinerate them.
Just throw them in the trash.
Which makes no sense. And the doctor has to go save her from being incinerated. And that was another good spot for the end of an episode. You know,
really, yeah, fast paced. Mel was in the gym. She was trying to talk to Lasky, but then Lasky leaves. She hears the plants talking through the air vent.
Yeah.
She takes the workout headset with the
puts
two-way
it up
radio.
there, yeah. And she listens to it, and she records it.
That is the incriminating evidence. Is that
they
tape?
need.
But she gets gassed and then almost thrown in the incinerator. But the doctor saves her.
Right. So in episode 3, so the doctor and gets a bit manhandled by what's his name, Dobner or whatever.
The security officer?
No. The white-haired scientist.
Dolan.
Yeah. You remember him? Yeah.
He just tripped the fire alarm, right?
Right. And Dolan's like, well, and the doctor's like, stop manhandling me. And Dolan's like, well, wait till the guard comes back. The one you tricked by telling you about that fake deal because the klaxon was going off. He's like, yeah, he won't be happy with you. And the doctor's like, well, who was that? What was that? And Dolan's like, in a rare moment of just actually telling the truth.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, that was my assistant.
Like,
Kate, what was his name?
Ruth Baxter.
Ruth Baxter. And we were doing this experiment, and she had a little cut on her hand, and a pollen got in there, and she turned into this. And we're taking her back to Earth to try and fix her because our capabilities were too primitive on the other planet.
I think he's still lying. I don't believe that's actually what happened. I think it was more insidious than that. Because they're experimenting with these plants. They're wanting to make this slave race out of the plants. I think he lies. He's a pathological liar. He's good at it. So he even fooled us as the audience.
He is good at it.
I bet there's something more insidious.
Like the lie he tells later about the husks is really good.
Yeah.
But we have no evidence otherwise on that except
because like the infecting humans is never brought up again. The whole very infectious pollen. Usually in Doctor Who, when the alien trope is like that, like that's their whole threat, is that they're trying to ensorcel all the humans on the ship, and that's the whole base defense sci-fi trope, and that doesn't happen here. It's just one explanation for why Ruth Baxter's like that. I think he was lying.
I don't know. I mean, you make a great point.
But we don't know.
But I don't know. But it feels sincere. Feels sincere.
He's so good at that. Though, okay. He explains that exactly like he explains the lie earlier. So I think the lie later is a callback to saying, hey, he was lying about this too.
Oh my gosh.
There's more insidious things going afoot here.
I don't know, but there's nothing else to indicate otherwise.
Right, yeah. We don't know, but that's just my theory crafting.
Your take.
Yeah, I think that's his character. He's so good. He's so insidious at being sincere that he's believable. And it's not until the lie later that they're kind of being like, oh, he was probably lying about this too.
I don't know. I'll have to think about that, but at the moment I like to think he's actually sincere in that.
That's my 2 cents.
Alright, so anyway. So the guard shows back up and he's got a phaser and
they hold him upside down.
It's kind of a weird design, and the Commodore's the what's his name?
The Commodore?
No.
Dolan?
No, Burgess or whatever. The security guy.
Yeah.
Huh?
Not Lunch. Brunchner.
The security guy shows up, and he's like, yep, we're here. We're taking you to the Commodore. And they do, because the doctor... And the guard's a little trigger happy, because apparently you set off a false alarm on a spaceship like this, there are big penalties.
Straight to jail.
Yeah. So they take the doctor to the Commodore. And the doctor's speaking with the Commodore. The Commodore's like, oh, in the meantime, they're taking the ship and they're moving it closer to this black hole to try and save time off the trip.
Cut off 72 hours on their flight by navigating closer to within the...
But it's not a problem with this type of ship.
Yeah. Except it is. If something
becomes
happens,
one.
Yeah, it's risky. So, like, navigationally speaking, it's fine, but he was like leaving no margin of error if like something happened.
Small one, yeah. So,
and something does happen, so that's
they're in trouble, yeah. So the doctor's like, okay, and the doctor in a cut scene explains everything to Commodore Travers, everything.
You think, or do you know?
Well, no, I haven't watched it yet.
Okay, but this is your theory, is that they cut out this.
Well, It's my theory that, well, no, I know he doesn't do it on screen.
Right.
Okay? There's information parted there, which he tells very specifically to Travers, and entrusts him with it, that's not on screen. Yeah. But
that's probably
we don't know if it's cut, if it was filmed or not.
Okay.
Anyway, so Travers is like, well, I will take your candor and I will reciprocate with your candor.
You ever look at like old storyboards of Doctor Who?
There are a very few special features that have them.
Oh, I love storyboards. I don't know why. Yeah. I was an art major, and that's used to be what I wanted to do, was storyboarding, like concept art.
I never really myself got into storyboards, but if that's your thing, that's your thing.
My thing.
I love wooden boxes. I don't know why. Wooden boxes.
You know, if that's your soapbox, you go ahead and stand on it.
So anyway.
What? You don't know why you like wooden boxes?
I just do. I don't know why, but I just do.
Are you drawn towards carpentry? I feel like that's just something in our caveman brains is wood desk box.
I don't know.
Because I kind of get it. I like
I like wooden boxes. I do.
I'm really into wooden desks.
I mean, I have wooden stuff from decent amount of the world.
Rosewood desk. I'm like, that's not a real desk. And because they don't make anything out of wood anymore. It's all like polymers,
particle board.
Yeah, just like pressed sawdust.
Yeah.
So if I see a wood desk, I'm like, that's. Ooh.
So anyway, the Commodore, the Doctor's entrusted everything to the Commodore is reciprocating. And like I said, I feel I've got to watch those deleted scenes, but I feel it's a scene that was there.
Probably.
Once again, it should have been 5 episodes. So the Doctor goes out and goes to find Mel and everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, Bruchner or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he is being confronted by Lasky because he's burning all their notes. Lansky is like,
has Greenville died yet?
Oh yeah, Greenville has died
after the coffee. Who poisoned the coffee? I think we're led to believe that Lasky knew Greenville was on board, and it's them that killed him because they knew he was.
No, it was probably the white-haired guy. What was his name?
Nolan.
He was the murderer. He tried to kill murder. He tried to kill Mel. I think he killed Greenfield. I think most of the murders were committed by him, except. Well, we'll get there next episode. The security guard guy.
Yeah. There's a lot of scenes like that, where you're just kind of left to speculate. Maybe that's why I enjoyed. They kind of cut it down a bit in the faster clip, but there's this one scene that I like that I don't really understand either. But here's my theory. I've been trying to put it together in my head. Is that Hallett was disguising himself as a Gregonian, right? So he puts
Morgonian or whatever.
Yeah, the Morgonian.
Greenville, yeah.
He puts on the Morgonian outfit, and then we're thinking that Dolan was onto him.
Yeah.
And he poisoned the coffee.
Yes.
Which killed him.
Yes.
And so this led to the scene that I really like, which is when the stewardess, Kimber, comes out with the coffee again. And she goes, do you want coffee? And the one guy goes, no. And she offers it to the other Margonian. And she goes, would you like some coffee?
Oh.
And he slaps the tray out of her hand.
Yeah.
It's like, was that because it was poisoned earlier? It never really explains, like, what was going on in that scene.
I didn't catch that nuance.
Because she's like, because he apologizes. He's like, oh, that was an accident or something. And he plays it off. But I think it's like, yeah, that was poison last time. Get that out of here.
I did not.
Because they're such peaceful creatures, or supposedly, he has to make the excuse of, oops.
No, like I said, I did not catch that, but okay.
Because, they don't really explain a lot. But I kind of like that, because it kind of leaves it up to your imagination to figure it out.
Alright,
so it lets you move at a quicker clip.
Alright, so Brunstner is talking with Lasky, and she's like, well, we've created this race. And he's like, oh. She mentions Galileo. All the people...
The sacrifices he made for science.
Right. All the people who've hated advances in science. If people were like you, we'd still be living in caves because they hated fire. And he's like... And she mentions Galileo. Goes, oh, is that how you see your name in history with Galileo? And she's like, no, it's a team effort. He's like, but you led the team. Yeah. And you've shown me how to be... We have to, basically, you see this light or this black light or whatever go off above his head, and he assaults her and knocks her out. And then the doctor was coming back to check on the Hibonic area or whatever.
With Mel? Was Mel with him, right?
No. She went to check on the stewardess's cabin because she thought the stewardess might have been in on it. And the doctor goes down, checks on the Hybrock Center, and he runs past real fast. The doctor's like, well, I didn't hear the dinner gong.
Yeah. He's running out so he didn't kill her. That was...
Correct. He did... This is a case where she was just knocked out.
This is Brunstner, right. He's turning on the project. So he's against Lasky and Dolan, who are still...
Well, these people are dying all around him, yeah.
So he's like, we have to destroy it all, and she's trying to talk sense into him. He's like, I'm not falling for it. And he's going just crazy with guilt, I guess. He's like, I must ensure this doesn't make it to Earth. I'm going to kill everyone
if it makes it to
on
Earth,
the
they'll
ship.
kill everyone.
Yeah. So he's just trying to destroy the ship at this point. So he whacks her, he runs out.
Right, he runs off. The doctor comes in. The doctor wakes up Lansky and heals her. But Brunstner knocks out a guard and takes his phaser. And then he makes it to the bridge.
Yeah.
And he holds the Commodore and the one other guy there. We don't know his name or anything about him.
The comms officer? Oh wait,
no. He's dead. Edwards is dead. No, we're talking about the random guy. Yeah. He holds them at gunpoint and says, "Okay, get out of here, or I'll kill you." And the Commodore reaches for something and he shoots him, and really messes up the Commodore's arm. Right, his right arm really messes it up, and you see blisters and stuff here, and his arm's
in a sling.
Gets in a sling. So he holds himself up on the bridge, and they're already near this black hole, and he starts driving into the black hole.
Yeah, they had that low margin of error, and he takes the ship control and just points it straight towards the black hole.
Right. In the meantime, the Vervoids are like, we're killing all the animal kind.
Yeah.
And we're doing a good job, but we have to kill this guy because he's going to destroy us. He wants to kill, because all the Vervoids in existence are on the ship. Yeah.
They're entire species, right? But it's not a naturally occurring species. They're bio-engineered by the scientists. Okay.
Mm. And they speak English because it's all they've ever heard.
Right.
So, because the whole universe speaks English or whatever.
Yeah.
So...
The British have colonized the galaxy.
Or us. Anyway, so he's starting to drive the spaceship into the black hole, and
which looks weird. Why
it does. It should look more like space, but
pixelated.
Right, with the weird little
it's like
kaleidoscope flashies around.
They're like, do you guys know what a black hole is?
Yeah. And that's where episode 3 ends.
Black hole.
Right. Episode 4, which should have been 2 episodes, but it's just 1.
Yeah, so here's
Episode 4.
how jam-packed episode 4 is the helm has just been hijacked.
Yeah.
And it's about to get rescued and immediately hijacked again. Like, that's how...
This episode is just chock full. It should have been 2.
So he's... I forget where the gas came from. The plants were
Vervoids.
So they knew
gas.
Brunchner was trying to drive the spaceship into the black hole, which
And
would kill him.
genocide them.
So they're gassing him out of the command chamber. In the meantime, the Commodore just got escorted out of the pilot's chamber because it's been hijacked.
British.
So they get the laser lance and they're trying to cut their way back in.
Cutting through, and the doctor's helping them.
Yeah, the doctor's there. They meet up and they cut through, and then all the Vervoid gas starts coming out. So they're like, well, he's
marsh
dead.
gas.
Yeah.
Marsh gas.
Marsh gas.
Which is methane derivative. Yeah.
And their plants.
Well, it makes perfect sense. Yeah. So
that kills Brunchner, the gas. And now the problem is that the controls are still set for the black hole, but no one can go in there because the methane gas, it'd be suicide. But
so what's his face? The security officer, Rudge. Rudge shows up, and they're like, "We've got to go in and we've got to change us." And the doctor's like, "I'll go in." The captain's like, Commodore's like, "No, it's my ship. If anyone goes in and the rest of their life, I'll go in." And Rudge says, "We don't need anyone to go in." And he calls for the Moganars or whatever.
Yeah, the
Morganians, because they're in the suits with their own breathing apparatus.
Yeah,
so the Morganians go in and rewrite the ship, and they veer it away from the black hole.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it was awesome. It was a good use of that race, you know?
Just, I liked how they did I just enjoy the plot of this one. I think this one was actually very well written compared to...
Like I said, the fourth episode should have been...
so messy.
The fourth episode should have been 2.
Yeah.
But besides that, great.
I like the plot and the story of this one, yeah.
So... The Morganians...
Right when they're celebrating, immediately Rudge is like, nope, more like under new management. I'm taking control now with the Morgonians.
Yeah, so the Morgonians right the ship, they get away from black hole. Rudge does a, not insurrection, what's the word for it? Mutiny. So he does a mutiny on the ship.
The Morgonians are diplomatic passengers. But really, they're
pacifists.
Yeah, they're pacifists. They're there as diplomats, but they're upset because they feel like they're being taken advantage of because they're taking all their natural resources. So at some point, they decided, well, these resources are ours, so we're just going to take it back to our planet. But we're pacifists, so we can't take it back by force. But if we convince Rudge to...
Right. And this goes back to a scene in episode 3 where they command Rudge to tell them what's going on.
They're like, what's going on?
And they're like very adamant, you will tell us what's going on right now. Have a seat. And
it's very threatening.
And that is great foreshadowing, but you don't see it coming, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas I like how it kind of lets you connect your own dots. But I feel like that reflects... The Morgonians are a lot like the Timelords, where they claim they're this very non-interfering, pacifistic species. Yeah, but they're not really. Because they have their own mocking nations and their own wants and plans for the universe. So they're like, well, we're pacifists, but we want our resources back. So we'll just convince...
Because the humans are stripping
someone who isn't a pacifist to do what we want.
Yeah, like I said, this fourth episode should have been 2 episodes. So,
which is such a great plot point, though.
But so Rudge comes out of nowhere, and he's like, why would you destroy your entire career on your last voyage?
He was so, what is it? Ex-employee, disgruntled?
Disgruntled.
Yeah. Disgruntled. He was so disgruntled. He was just the security officer and as everything was going
and I've
haywire,
been patronized my entire life by people like the Commodore. And this almost comes out of nowhere. And we're taking over the ship, and I'm going to give them back their resources, and they will give me a whole bunch of money, and I'll retire somewhere nice rather than the crap on Earth. And
so here is all of Rudge's character arc. Is that he's bad at his job. That's it. So there's a murderer that's on board and an undercover investigator, and the doctor and his companion shows up, and Rudge is just this terrible security officer who's not securing anything. People are getting murdered. He has no idea what's going on, and then that really causes the commander to really lay into him. He's like, what's happening? Some security officer you are. He's like,
Commodore.
Yeah, he's saying you're bad at your job. And then Rudge says, you guys are always putting me down, which I think really means is I've always been bad at my job. And other people have told me too. And this was the final straw. This was the last time I'm being told I'm bad at my job.
Yeah.
They didn't set it up. Yeah, I agree with that. It really comes out of left field. You're like, I was not expecting it.
Yeah, this fourth episode is just boom, 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 boom. What the heck? All right. Mm-hmm. So he takes the doctor, the Commodore, mm-hmm. and Lasky, and he forces them into the lounge. And the doctor is walking that way. They're walking that way, and the doctor's like sees Mel down the corridor. And he stops. He goes, "I demand to know why this is happening, and why are we being hijacked?" And then he puts his hand on his back and he signals to Mel to run off.
Apparently, that's all it takes for her to know they're being hijacked. Because she never sees. Well, she sees the doctor go like, and then she runs off and she goes, "We're being hijacked." But I don't know how
because she hears him talking about that. But and then she runs off, and the stewardess and who's the other guy in there?
It was like a guard or something.
It was the other guy who was on the bridge with the commandant. Yeah, I think. But yeah, they run off
in the white suit, right? He's wearing the same suit as the commandant.
They escape the.
Did we never get his name?
No. There are several guards, and this poor guy. I don't think he ever gets a line, and we never get a name for him.
He's just kind of there.
but he survives, you know. But we never get a name. That's weird.
So he runs off with.
They all run off.
The stewardess, and Mel. It's weird. It's like this door's closing.
It's one of those emergency things. You know?
So the ship's going into like lockdown.
I'm gonna use the restroom. You keep going.
They dunk under this door, kind of like in Star Wars. Close the blast door. Open the blast door. So they make it out right as the doctor and Brunchner and everyone else is being escorted into this common area. Now that he's gone, we can talk about wherever we want. Just kidding. No. I do want to talk about the costume design, though, specifically of the Vervoids, which I thought was great because it's really goofy, but they're also really cool. Like I could get what they're going for. I knew that. I feel like it was really on point for their target audience because this is a family children's show and the plants are supposed to be the villains, right? So I don't know, there's a certain character design to villains, and it's something about the face and the color scheme and the red and the exposed brain. They just look like villains, but they look cool too, so it's something that I would have been super into if I watched this when I was a kid. And I feel like that also helped me kind of get the nostalgic nature of Doctor Who, because I'm like, man, I would have really enjoyed this as a kid, because I think that costume design is really cool. I think the Vervoids are a cool design, even though they're goofy and it's 1986, and it's not really well done, but it's a cool design. You could see what they were going for, and I don't know, I just enjoy that. Also, we were talking about Hartnell. We were talking about how they're about to come out with, and we'll probably talk about this later. They're about to come out with, what is it? The Daleks, the first Daleks cereal with Hartnell. They're taking that and editing it down into a cinematic. Anyway, I was sitting there and Hannah was telling me about this, and I was like, "Gosh, man, when was the last time I was thinking about when we first watched that. It was like 5 years ago. It's like half a decade. It's just, we've been rewatching this Doctor Who stuff. Anyway, what I'd like to say is I'm fairly new to the fandom. I'm a new Whovian. I'm just now watching all the old stuff. And thanks for having me. So, we're in episode 4. They've just been escorted into the common area. They're being held hostage by Brenchner. Mel and the others escaped. And, the first time ever. For the first time ever. Head of the Oh, that's a huge thing we have to talk about. So, Hatter and I are always talking about the main watch group. Now, Hatter's the Doctor Who savant. He's the lore guy, right? He's the authority on it. And I'm the ingenue, I'm the new guy. I'm learning new stuff. So the podcast isn't the first Doctor Who thing. He has this other watch group, right? When we've talked about this several times and how we've been catching up to them for the past 5 years. And this is episode 4 is the episode that we passed them, and we're officially, for the first time ever, ahead of Hatter and his main watch groups. They left off on episode 3 of the Terror of the Vervoids. Because we watch a whole serial, and they watch, I think, 2-3 episodes every watch group. So we were slowly but surely catching on them, and this is the week that we caught up to them. And now that we've caught up to them, we're going to kind of do this, and they're probably going to pass us when they watch the next Sunday, and then we'll stay ahead of them. So, I don't know. It's a little bit of a rivalry thing that I kind of had going on. I'm like, yeah, we're going to get them. And we finally caught them. So that's a big milestone, I guess, in the Doctor Who podcast. And we're about to finish up with Colin Baker. We're going to move on to, I forget his name, the frog-looking guy, and then McGann, and then I think that's it. That's all of the old stuff is after McGann. So that's like, I don't know how many seasons they have each, but we're about to finish up with the old stuff. And let's talk about the podcast. Like Hatter said, after this season finale, stay tuned, next Monday, coming up, we're going to have... I should probably talk about the recap. Hatter's going to come in. I'm going to be like, I haven't talked about episode 4 at all. But that's really the only note I wrote down, was that we're now officially head of the main watch group. That's about it. There's also a word that's thrown around a lot in this episode that I want to talk about with Hatter, because
wait, what are we talking about?
We're not really allowed to say it on YouTube.
What?
It's frowned upon. So you know how YouTube people make careers out of? They make videos for a living. These content creators.
Yeah, I guess so.
And that's why they're so very upset about like the whims of Google and what they decide to do with the ad revenue, and the slightest change can really throw someone's whole career path off. So they talk about the algorithm a lot. And
yeah, we don't care because this isn't our job. This is just stupid fun we're doing on Monday night.
Right. But there's one word that might bury us in the algorithm.
Which is?
It's this word. We're not allowed to say this on YouTube.
We're not allowed to say genocide.
Yeah.
Why not?
So you are technically allowed to say genocide on YouTube, but there's the thing that they discovered with content creators, and it's like this trial and error process, and there are these words that would just bury you in the algorithm. They wouldn't recommend your video anymore. One of those words was genocide. If you say genocide in your YouTube video, YouTube's like not going to recommend that video.
But you got to the end of
anyone.
You got to the end of episode 4, where the Valiant says, "Oh, you're now on trial for genocide." Right?
I'm not there yet. We're talking about how the plants were the last of their species, and
the only ever of their species.
I forget. Yeah, they're the first and the last. So
yeah. The alpha.
This is the argument, like if you kill the Vervoids, it's genocide of their entire species. But that's like saying, well, I breeded a carrot with a tomato and then it died, and I genocided the entire carrot tomato species. It's like I just invented. That's not a great argument. It's like I invented this artificial intelligence. Then I flipped the off switch. Is that genocide? I created something and I destroyed it? I don't think these plants, they're a brand new race. They were killing humans indiscriminately. It's very justifiable to pull the plug on that. It's like,
so wait, where are you in the episode?
So we were just about to talk about I couldn't remember the name of it. It's like magnesium. I think they made it up. The metal that's very valuable that flashes. So the doctors talking to
who cares?
Commandant. Yeah, I don't think it's real metal, but it's like magnesium. It's like if it's exposed to oxygen, it flashes, and that's their plan to get rid of the Vervoids. Is that we can't kill them? They're too smart for that because that's their survive or thrive.
Right. Don't kill them. Just let them live to death.
Speed up their
Right.
We have to think the opposite direction. So that's what this very valuable metal is going to do. It's basically a flashbang, and when it's exposed to oxygen, it's going to give them a lot of photosynthesis, a lot of UV.
So here's where a whole bunch of that 5th episode would have been. They get they get talk to the Commodore, and he gives them the keys, and then we don't see them obtain this. We don't see them make the weapons. They just go down there.
When you came in, you asked where we were at in episode 4, and instead of telling you the truth, which is I have no idea, just because I'm trying to follow the plot, but it's a very confusing episode.
Once again, that episode should have been 2,
but that's basically where we're at.
Oh my gosh!
I think that's where.
Are you good to drive? Seriously, you sure?
I'm just saying it's a confusing episode.
Yeah, it is.
I kind of got lost on a couple of tangents.
So, the Vervoids. Okay, so the doctor gets the Commodore to turn off the lights in the ship.
Yes.
So that the
emergency
Vervoid plants will not have. Yeah, they go to emergency power.
No
Vervoid plants will not have photosynthesis. So they all go back to the hydroponics center, and they're all there, and there's one who's still coming, and that one comes along.
That's what
and that one comes along, and bumps into I was about to say Joe Grant. Oh my gosh, Mel and the doctor, and he scares Mel.
You sound like the doctor.
I do.
My name's Perry.
Yeah, and
I'm not Joe Grant.
Anyway, so you get the 5, 6, 7 Vervoids in one spot, and the doctor says, "Throw the bomb! Throw the bomb! Don't forget the bomb!" And the doctor throws a couple of bombs, and she throws a bomb, and there's another guy there. There's another guy there who throws a couple of bombs.
Where I agree with you that there must have been a cutout scene right before this.
We need 5 episodes.
Totally.
We really need 5 episodes.
So they're like, here's this valuable magnesium metal, and go take it out of the vault. And then the next scene, we have we have Mel holding this valuable metal in a bomb with a fuse. It's like, I don't think that's how they store it. They must have made that.
Correct.
But they totally cut it out where they're
Correct.
weaponizing this material.
Correct.
So I think It's confusing. Episodes 4 to 6.
I'm glad you agree with me. Anyway, so they flash bomb the Vervoids to death because
go through autumn real fast.
They get all the light and they age and they waste away, which it's a little bit of a cop out, but sure, what are you going to do otherwise?
So we finally get a callback to what I was saying was unexplained earlier about Ruth Baxter and a little bit of pollen getting into the cut.
Yeah.
And so I thought maybe Nolan was lying about that, but apparently the doctor believed him because he said if even like a leaf got to Earth, it would have been enough to spawn their whole species again. So they're incredibly fertile plant species.
Yeah.
They're very smart. Like they just hatched and already they're turning out the lights. This has to be a trap. Like they're very intelligent.
Yeah.
I really like the Vervoids. I think they're cool villains. I was talking about their costume design, how they look cool.
I love the outfits.
I like the outfits. I also like how at the very end they're like, well, they're not necessarily evil. They're just acting out of their own survival instincts.
Yes.
And we created them.
Yes.
Are we the evil? Because we're trying to kill them too.
Well,
do we ever see the Vervoids again?
No.
Alright. Because they're eradicated.
Never.
They're G-worded.
They're
which
done.
We're not allowed to say on YouTube.
They're done. We never see me. We do see Mel again. She continues on the rest of the season and next season. And we will eventually see the Sixth Doctor again.
Used to not be such a touchy word. I think it's more recent.
What touchy word?
Genocide. The no YouTube word. Because people, that word just used to be, is in World of Warcraft, is in pop culture. People just say that. But now it's too associated to like terrorism and all this global politics stuff. And then YouTube's just like, can't say that word anymore. It's a bad word.
Sorry, but we're talking about a show from 1986, and they talk about genocide.
That's the word they used.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so at the end of the episode, the doctors are like, "Look, I was called into this," and they're like, "But no, the Valiant's like, you need to now be accused of genocide."
Yeah.
End of the episode.
Someone's changing the Matrix. The Matrix cannot lie. This is even worse for you, Doctor. Your argument is actually going to upgrade your charges to a more serious crime.
Well, he's already on trial for his life.
Yeah.
What the hell else can you escalate,
Torture?
I don't know.
I think the point is that his odds of getting off the hook are even slimmer now that the charge is more serious.
Upgraded, yeah.
Even though the punishment might not be different, the charge is more weighted against.
Well, that's what they want you to believe. Yeah. All right. What questions do you have?
So we covered a lot.
Okay. Good.
Okay. So one thing I like is the ultimatum. This is, I think, why I like this season more. It was good serial, not season. The season's bad. The serial was good.
And the last year was good.
This is what really led me to come around on the whole pacing and formatting of the season. Where used to, I think, is very jarring, where they're cutting back and forth between what's going on
and the trial,
because they weren't really connected. Now I feel like it's finally connecting to where. I don't know, the doctor gives this ultimatum of the good place theory of I will improve and you need me because I'm kind of like your free agent. You're the pacifist. And we see that correlation kind of drawn between the Time Lords and the Vervoids, where they're like, or not the Vervoids, the Moganians? Mogarians?
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Because they're pacifists, but they're not really pacifistic.
Well,
they argue that their nature is good.
But they're going on with a guy who's...
They have...
That fourth episode should have been
They made him go along with them. Like, they were the ones that forced him to sit down.
They did pressure him.
And entertain the table, and I'm sure they corrupted him from there. Now, it didn't take much of a push, because he was already very disgruntled. He was bad at his job. He got ridiculed a lot, so he was ready to go off the deep end against who he saw was the guy that was criticizing him.
Yeah.
But they were not good people. Like, they had their selfish
and they died along
and
with everybody else.
Yeah, but that's basically what the Time Lords are. They say, we don't interfere, and we're pacifists. But we've excommunicated the Doctor, and he's not associated with us, so we can use him as a free agent to interfere in things that we want to say that we weren't interfering in.
Right, very much the two Doctors scenario.
Yeah, and that's kind of the Doctor's argument is, hey, not only do I improve as a person as I go on, but also you need me. It's like, here's the future, and I'm saving the galaxy in this situation. Like, that's his argument leading into this serial. Which is cool.
Alright.
That's not a question. It's just something I wrote down.
Okay. Any other questions?
We have a new companion, Mel. We talked about her.
Mm-hmm.
And how she gets no introduction.
And she screams.
And she's very good at screaming. But it never goes back and retroactively kind of explains how she entered the picture.
Nope. Not at all.
Or why she's so into the workout craze of the 80s. The jazzercising. We have the cucumber pods, infrared lights. Wherever the Doctor goes, death follows, which I feel like is something that I've been saying for a while. I feel like I really relate to the Valyard, even though he's...
Well, it's more the Commodore.
Commodore. Yeah, the Commodore said that too, which mirrored the Valyard's argument, which is why the Valyard was like, this is great, you're making my point for me.
Exactly.
And the Doctor's like, oh, you're putting the... This is kind of like back and forth, very Sherlock Holmesy, and I like the courtroom drama of it. I forgot what my question was.
Anything else?
Murder on the Orient Express, we talked about that.
Yep.
So the Matrix we've seen before as the Doctor went into the Matrix.
Yes.
And apparently the Matrix is infallible, which is not true.
Supposedly.
Because the Doctor's saying it lied. And my theory was that the Matrix isn't lying. Something altered the Doctor's nature, his memories. But that's not true because that was in the future. Oh, maybe.
We'll see.
Mel is melodramatic. That's just a joke I wrote.
Okay.
Doctors being manipulated. We talk about the Matrix lying. Mm-hmm. We talk about why did the Doctor eat the seed? We don't know.
Correct.
That was the seed that the Vervoids grew from?
I don't think so.
It was a different seed.
But I don't think
it looked like a rock.
No,
I don't get the seed.
It looked like one of those little glass things you can get.
Yeah,
as
a
worry stone, you know?
Yeah. This is just a weird scene. He was... Yeah. I think that's what you're talking about. They're making him into a goof.
A buffoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was just out of his character. I didn't understand what that scene was.
I mean, he was trying to talk, interrupted, trying to talk, interrupted, trying to talk, interrupted.
That was funny.
And then finally he's like, well, screw it, I'll eat a seed, you know?
So we talked about...
He didn't get any food because Mel's like, no, don't eat that food that she's trying to give you. And he's like, yeah.
Tea biscuit, yeah. Because he's getting pudgy.
Yeah, he's pudgy, but, you know, whatever.
I like Mel. She's fun.
You like Mel?
She has so much personality.
Wow, okay.
She's like... She's quick on her feet. She's very independent. She just represents what the companion is, because she represents what the human race is, and that's why the Doctor fell in love with humans, is because they're so, you know, different from Time Lords. They're so hopeful and ingenuistic and they're clever in their own way.
And you like Mel?
I like Mel. She kind of represents the companions.
Let's get a little more Mel before you said that.
Oh, okay. So she gets worse.
No, she doesn't get worse.
She's irksome. I have a feeling you don't like Mel.
I don't like Mel, but
I thought this was a good introduction to Mel. I might get tired of her very quickly, but for right now, I like Mel.
I don't like Mel, but you might like Mel. But
I like Mel for right now.
For right now,
we'll see.
We'll see.
I enjoyed Mel,
but I don't like Mel.
I usually like the companions you don't like, because I usually feel like the companions you don't like are making all the arguments that I would like to make.
You like Dodo?
I don't like Dodo. But I did like Taryn. Was that her name?
Taryn?
Not Taryn. Was it Taryn? Who was before Perry? And before Turlo, Tegan. What did I say? Taryn?
Yeah, Tegan.
I meant Tegan. I like Tegan. You don't like Tegan.
I don't like Tegan. She's so whiny. So whiny.
We never see the Vervoids again.
Correct.
It looks like. Where's it? That's it.
Alright. Hey, we will see.
We did have a nice little goodbye ceremony. The Doctor normally doesn't like goodbyes, but Mel took the time to say goodbye. It was kind of heartfelt. I like the ending. It was everything was
to the
summed
Commodore and the stewardess.
Yeah. It was very hectic, very gory. Once I found out that pile of 6 people were dead, not just knocked out.
Yeah.
It ended on a nice note, which I enjoyed.
Okay. So we will see you hopefully next week. We'll finish up this season and this Doctor.
And the Doctor. And I was also talking about how we're officially ahead of the main group.
Finally, yeah.
But not for long, because they're going to do a bit of this.
So hopefully next Sunday, the main group, we will watch the 3 episodes, which will get them back past us. Yeah. Then we will catch up to them on that Monday, and we'll be comparable for a bit. But you and I should pass them up on the special stuff, and
then indefinitely so.
Right, and then indefinitely so.
And we talked a bit about Doctor Who news, some of the animated stuff, the new movie,
a couple of animated episodes and stuff,
and that's about it for Doctor Who news, right?
And the Daleks being
the cinematic edit.
Right, cinematic edit with the colorization and all that. But yeah, it's all good. It's all done.
All right. I think we're all caught up. Anything else you'd like to add, Henry? Bye. We'll see you next week. Make sure to tune in next Monday for the season finale.
See you next week.